You might have noticed a change in your neighborhood lately. Yep, Sprint stores are now T-Mobile stores. Now that Sprint is T-Mobile, you get more coverage, value, and benefits than ever before. We've invested billions to bring our 5G from big cities to small towns across America. And great coverage is just the start. From high-speed mobile hotspot data to weekly deals and giveaways, our customers get tons of great benefits. Head to your new T-Mobile store to learn more.
Qualifying service and capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Don't miss out on the top stories from the best insiders around the NFL. I'm your host, Rhett Lewis, and on the NFL Inside Report podcast, I'll go around the league for in-depth analysis and storytelling with a multitude of exclusive NFL insiders getting unmatched access. Game recaps, the biggest news, and in-depth storytelling that take you beyond the headlines multiple times per week, all on the NFL Inside Report podcast. Listen to NFL Inside Report on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello and welcome. It's our number one of our radio program, repackaged in the podcast format. Now, before I tell you what's coming up here in hour number one, a couple of programming notes for you. The most important programming note is the fifth hour with Ben Maller is back. It is Friday. So in addition to this podcast, all 4 hours of our radio show, we also have additional content for the weekend, the fifth hour, and some college football talk. A rare and appropriate fifth hour, talk some college football. We don't do a lot of that in the overnight show. Some of the bigger stories involving SC, the big coaching search at USC, and also some of the other Heisman race stuff and random rumors around college sports in general. We'll get to that today on the fifth hour. Also, if you're a football fan, you enjoy Benny versus the Penny, follow me on Twitter at Ben Maller and Facebook, Ben Maller Show. We will have a new edition of Benny versus the Penny. All the games handicapped, all the picks as I see them in the NFL. But this hour, we go to the NFL. Carolina cleaning the clock of the Texans in the Thursday night NFL game. Sam Darnold played well, which led to some bold statements. Are you now convinced that Sam Darnold is on the road to becoming a star? We discuss right now in hour number one. A Panther on the prowl. Welcome in the beginning of yet another edition of the Ben Maller Show. We are in the air everywhere as we shoot from the lip. Not the hip, the lip. Coast to coast, border to border, and beyond on the vast and mighty powerful microphones of FSR, emanating live from another dimension, a dimension of only sound and mind, to the boundaries of imagination, the Fox Sports Radio studios in the Northwoods, a different place, late into the night. And we begin this hour with football, the NFL. You're never supposed to spend too much time talking about either one of the teams that played in the Thursday night game. The card for Week 3 kicked off in the Lone Star State with an eagerly anticipated matchup. Now, coming in, you had the 1-1 Texans playing host to the 2-0 Carolina Panthers. Much anticipation, unless that is a lie. And no one outside of a couple of degenerates was looking forward to this game. But, hey, listen, did you watch? Maybe not. Now, don't worry. We have no lives around here. We have nothing to do, so I got your back. On this show, we have your back, and we watch so you would not have to. Sam Darnold playing like he was back at USC in the Pac-12, throwing for over 300 yards. He ran for a couple of short touchdowns on the goal line offense, and the Carolina Panthers easing past the Houston Texans, pulling away in the second half for a 24-9 win in the Thursday night game. And don't look now, but the Carolina Panthers are 3-0 for the first time since way back in 2015. I barely remember that, 2015, when they opened the season 14-0 and reach the Super Bowl only to watch their quarterback, Cam Newton, run away from the football against the Broncos like it was a hand grenade. Oh, my God. Anyway, back to the point. So Sam Darnold's the story here. Sam Darnold averaged almost 9 yards per pass attempt, and he is the talk of the town after the Thursday night game. And as often happens, we crank up the overreaction machine. Several pundits proclaiming after watching Sam Darnold surgically slice up Houston's defense that he is turning into a franchise quarterback, the player he was supposed to be with the Jets. Have you heard that? I've heard that. I've seen it. I've read it. So let us discuss the question, does the game on Thursday lead you to be convinced that Sam Darnold is becoming an NFL star in front of your eyes? I'm shaking my head no on this. I'm shaking my head no. Now, my thoughts, you've got cred, deja vu, and Holy Trinity. And we'll tie all of these things together into a nice, neat Maller monologue. Now, listen, saw the game. Halftime, Sam Darnold looked okay. There were some things that I didn't necessarily like. The second half of it was great. He looked fantastic. He wasn't seeing ghosts. He was reading defenses, scanning the field, finding open receivers. A simpatico performance. And really panic calming. Nevertheless, I am not behind these microphones prepared to crown Sam Darnold the king of the Carolinas, and a new star has been born. Let's pump the brakes on that. Now, he played like gold for now 3 games. 3 games, Sam Darnold has been the player he was supposed to be. But is it fool's gold? We don't know the answer to that yet. This career renaissance, which everyone's all excited about, is still in the embryonic stages. It's a work in progress. 3 games, as you know, does not make a rebirth. That is less than 18% of the NFL schedule. 17.6. They have the 14 games left on the schedule. So 83% of the work is still to be done for the Carolina Panthers. Now, you don't get cred. You certainly don't get street cred by beating up the Pee Wee Football All-Stars. That is what you are supposed to do. And this was a guaranteed situation. This is guaranteed win week as long as the Panthers team bus showed up on time. Monopoly, right? Pass-go collective victory over the sorrowful Houston Texans. As for Sam Darnold and the bigger picture here, we have seen flashes of success even when he was playing for the morbid Jets. There were games sporadically where Darnold would come out and look great, and immediately what would happen? The tabloids in New York would say, well, here you go. This is Sam Darnold. He's arrived. And then he would go back and suck. And he went from overrated coming out of USC to now totally brushed aside and likely somewhere in the middle. Darnold's play on the field did deserve the criticism. There's a lot of revisionist history now, revisionist history. People claiming that, no, he wasn't that bad with the Jets. It was this guy's fault, that guy's fault, blah, 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 blah. And no, he sucked. And you can blame it on other people you want, but he was out there, and we've seen quarterbacks in bad situations, and they show more than Sam Darnold showed. But he's had an opportunity. He's got an opportunity to go from a sinner to a saint. Not a New Orleans Saint, a Carolina Panther, but you get the point. All right, meanwhile, part B of this, let's change gears here. Carolina's win was a Pyrrhic victory. All right, this was a win that inflicted such a devastating toll at key positions in the injury tent that the victory is tantamount to a defeat in some ways because Carolina lost their star running back, Christian McCaffrey. Snap, crackle, pop! Hamstring injury early in the second quarter. He gone. In the third quarter, hotshot defensive back J.C. Horn suffered what is now being called a broken foot, and he had to be carted off the field. But the big one is Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey came into the game leading the league after 2 games in scrimmage yards. He was putting up the same kind of numbers that he had put up when he dominated the NFL, was the fantasy football messiah in 2019. Now, the early reports indicate that he is going to be away for an extended time. We'll have to wait a little while longer to get the official report. But let me check my notes here because where have we seen this before? That's right. Yeah, I'm checking my notes. This is a deja vu situation, and I do not mean the ballet / adult nightclub. McCaffrey missed all but 3 games last season with various injuries, and ever since he signed the mega millions contract, he has become the glass man. $64 million. It is the $64 million question, including $38.1 million guaranteed. Christian McCaffrey got paid, and the Panthers got played. Does anyone disagree with that? McCaffrey has the similar DNA makeup of Anthony Davis, the unibrow, or Chris Paul, right? That sound you hear with McCaffrey being shooed away for what we think is a fair amount of time here. We'll find out the final amount in a few days. But the opportunity knocking at the door is that of Oklahoma State star running back from years past, Chuba Hubbard. Chuba. Who is going now from a rookie supporting actor to leading role, a 4th-round pick, and he got called into duty. He looked all right. He had 52 yards in the game. McCaffrey got hurt in the second quarter, and he can certainly do the job running the ball. We saw him in the Big 12, and he was able to do that. I think he'll be okay running the football. Running in the NFL is an interchangeable position. But the problem with this, and this is not your normal running back situation because McCaffrey is the number 1 target in the passing game. So I find it hard to believe that Chuba Hubbard is going to pick up the slack in that department.
And it drew the issue of Chuba Hubbard.
Yes, exactly. This is going to be a group effort, but McCaffrey is so good in the passing game that is a major demoralizing situation. That's why we call that, even though Carolina won the game, comfortably covered the big number, they were huge road favorites. That is a Pyrrhic victory because that injury tent, and those that love defense say J.C. Horn's really good too, and he's out and he's gone as well. All right, last word here. So overall here, the Panthers, are they improved? Yes, absolutely. Of course they're improved. But let's hold off on calling them some kind of powerhouse. They're on my watch list, but beating up the Jets in week 1, the Texans in week 3, not all that impressive. Now the Saints win's a nice win, but New Orleans was coming off the Super Bowl win they had over the Green Bay Packers. They celebrated the Super Bowl, and they had a great time. But playing what they have at the quarterback position, the holy trinity of quarterbacks, right? You had Zach Wilson, Jameis Winston, Davis Mills, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Bam, bam, bam. The Carolina defense has looked like the old Ravens defenses of years past, the Chicago Bears of the mid-'80s, swarming all over the place. If you saw the game on Thursday, you know Houston's offense, as we anticipated, was stuck in concrete all night. The Panthers feasting on the prowl because of their sloppiness. Carolina held the Texans, a professional football team in theory, to 14 first downs, less than 200 yards of offense. On 3rd down, just 1 of 9. And Davis Mills was as advertised. He is who we thought he was. He got ambushed. Carolina, this is a fatten your stat sheet situation. They did it. A stat-stuffing jamboree. And 9 quarterback hits, 3 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, and a partridge in a pear tree. Davis Mills was fed alive to a pack of 11 ravenous Panthers. He was. The Texans are very fortunate they opened the year with Urban Meyer and Jacksonville because they will need now divine intervention to beat anyone else anytime soon. They are starting to settle in. There's an old saying in sports, you don't want to play bad teams early in the year. They don't realize they're bad. But right about now is the eureka moment where the Houston Texans realize, man, we blow. We are garbage. We're as bad as people said we were going to be. Now, as for Carolina, the real test is going to be down the line. They have a pretty easy schedule, but in the division, you're going to play Tom Brady twice, and they're going to play some other teams that are more well-rounded. And so that is the acid test to find out how they turn out. Now, the Panthers have one of those hot-shot college coaches that has had success. Urban Meyer's off to a slow start. Matt Rule was bad. Carolina did not play well. in his first year on the job, but he's back at it again after a 5-11 season. The Panthers looking pretty good, and Matt Rule, the coach of Carolina, and it's all about that trust with his quarterback, all about that trust.
If you watch the way we called the game, it means we trust him. Even on that last drive, we're throwing 4 verticals with him, and I just think in my mind, I say to myself all the time, like, these are professional football players. They've been doing this their whole lives. They let them go play. Like, don't try to overmanage the game. Let them go play. Let them make plays. And so sometimes you go for it 4th and half a foot, and you don't get it. They make a play, and sometimes we go make a play. But I think one thing about Sam, he has some moxie, man. He stayed in the pocket, had that long run called back, but finding Terrace on the 3rd and 12. There were some huge conversions by Sam, and again, it's him just playing within the system. But also, I think he has a courageousness that. But he's not crossing the line going over the top. He's protecting the football and still pushing the ball down there.
Wow, that was a lot of bullcrap, wasn't it? My first thought was that trusting Sam Darnold or really just betting against the Texans secondary? So I think, ding, 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 ding. And the second thought, that sounded like a shot, like a left-handed shot at Adam Gase. It's like, I'm such a better coach than that boob that Sam Darnold had with the Jets, and I know how to handle this. He was talking about how, but he used big buzzwords and moxie and talking about all this things that have never been said about Sam Darnold his entire professional career. All of a sudden, because he plays well for a couple of games in Carolina, now he's got all those big buzzwords. All those big buzzwords are his. All right, it is the Ben Maller Show. If you would like to talk about that or anything else, you can join us here. It is all fair game. As we just kick off the overnight festivities here, just getting started. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. If you do not want to twist in the wind, you can also help us out on Twitter. Use real-time feedback. It's a cleanup operation over there. And Ben Maller on Twitter. Follow me, and you can give some feedback. We might even read your comment on the radio. And how cool would that be? That'd be pretty neat. So what happens when you think you're in the driver's seat, but you're not in the driver's seat? We'll get to that, and we will do it next.
Be sure to catch live editions of the Ben Maller Show weekdays at 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
Comcast has built a broadband network with one simple purpose: to keep customers connected every single day. In the last 10 years, we have invested $30 billion and $15 billion since 2017 alone to keep America's largest gig-speed broadband network fast, secure, and reliable. Because more Americans rely on Comcast to stay connected, we work around the clock to build a better network every single day. Comcast. Better today, even better tomorrow. Learn more at Comcast.com/network.
You know the final score. Now listen to the NFL podcast that tells you why it happened. Dan Orlovsky, Scott Pioli, and me, Bob Wischusen. We're tape heads going inside the coaching tape and giving fans the answers.
I always say this, Bob, don't talk to me about quarterbacks and say they can make all the throws. Make the right one at the right time. That's something that he does really well.
Regardless of what the hierarchy is, folks in the personnel department, including the general manager, need to be servants to the head coach.
Well, here's the question I want to ask. Why do you all lie to us and tell us that these rookies aren't going to play?
Do they have a skill or trait that is going to allow them to survive?
Bob's going to bring me back to my good years at the Jets.
Yeah. Were there some?
Heck yeah. Come on, AFC Championship.
I also believe this closes the gap between them and, those other top-tier teams in the AFC, Cleveland, Kansas City, and Buffalo.
Listen to Tapeheads on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I want to get back to being in my community group.
I want to continue having a soccer season.
So I can throw parties again.
So I can go to her parties.
It'd really be nice to dine in instead of getting delivery for a change.
So I can feel safe and protected for myself and my students.
We each have our own reason for why we're getting vaccinated against COVID-19. What will yours be? Visit GetVaccineAnswers.org for information on the COVID-19 vaccines. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Listen up, Maller Militia. The Ben Maller Show is the show of the people, by the people, for the people. Join the movement and follow your host on Twitter. He's at Ben Maller. And you can tweet at and follow me, Eddie Garcia, your humble sidekick, the voice of reason. I'm at Eddie on Fox. Cumpleaños feliz. And now live from the Fox Sports Radio studios, it's Ben Maller.
Began the night ranting about the Thursday NFL game, Carolina, with a blowout win over the Texans, pulling away in the second half, smothering the overwhelmed Houston offense with their short week rookie quarterback. Bring it home, Jerome, writes in. He says, hey, fellas, I enjoyed stopping by the studio, dropping off the food courtesy of the guys from 610 Sports in Kansas City, Bob Fesco there. Yep, thanks to Bob.
Make the Baba Ganoush, Ben.
No, make the Smokehouse Barbecue is what you got to make there. And thank you, Jerome. Jerome flew in. He landed on a late flight from our show, and in the first place he went, you go to a new city you're not that familiar with, and first thing you do is go to the radio station.
Yeah, thank you, Jerome. And Coop went out to meet him and said that his wife and daughter were thrilled to be stopping by the radio show.
I did not realize that Jerome had the family with him. I did not realize that. But well, that's good. You're teaching your family the importance of marginal overnight sports talk radio. And he seemed very excited to meet you, getting the opportunity to meet my man, Justin Cooper. So that must make you feel good that he upset his family to meet you, Coop.
No, it was cool. It was cool meeting Jerome. They didn't look too upset.
Oh, okay. His daughter told me last night.
His daughter took the picture of us.
How old is she older or is she?
I think she's in college. I think that's why that's why he's out here.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's great. I did not realize that. That's outstanding. All right. Well, thanks.
It was good barbecue, and it was not fresh off the grill. So if it's good, then imagine what it's like fresh off the grill. So
and I had it I had it earlier today for lunch, and it was still
good.
delicious.
Yeah. So thanks to you, Jerome, and thanks to the guys at 610, Bob Fesco, but Smokehouse Barbecue there. Authentic Kansas City barbecue. That is the Mecca. I know a lot of towns, a lot of locations love their barbecue, but I've been to Kansas City, and I love the BBQ. Eugene in Chicago. Eugene in Chicago writes in, says, Houston, you guys are crazy, he says, for having Deshaun Watson on your roster and losing the way they lost to Carolina. Until Watson gets suspended, you play him, Eugene in Chicago says. If he refuses to play, then you refuse to pay his crazy ass, he says. Well, interesting to note here, Eugene, that when you think you're in the driver's seat and you're not in the driver's seat, that would be Deshaun Watson. Now, there's a story out, and I read this earlier here. Deshaun Watson, according to the story, is committed to this moment. This is from his camp. Deshaun Watson is absolutely committed to still forcing a trade from Houston, no matter how long that is going to take. And someone in the posse around Deshaun Watson, his harem of massage therapists, unless it's not, said if you're paying him $10 million to sit this year, you don't think he would take $30 million to sit next year? Close quote. Yeah. Well, does he understand? You can't play him. Like, there's no way you can't play Eugene. You can't play the guy. We live in 2021. Even 10 years ago, you couldn't play him. He's facing a whole lot of trouble. Now, there's an open FBI investigation. There's an open investigation of the Houston Police Department. And there's 20-something lawsuits. A couple of women filed criminal charges without lawsuits or a complaint. But here he is, according to people around him. So I know he wants to be traded. Yeah. Okay. Good luck on that. Yeah. You talk about being obtuse. Deshaun Watson would be the definition of obtuse, I would say. Man alive. What was that? All right. Who else do we have? Let's see. Page down here. Page down. Can't read that one on the air. Let's see here. Militia Twitter King says, very good monologue. Maller monologue. Some people just mail it in on a Friday show, but not Benny the Bopper. Well, yeah. The talk shows, there used to be a thing when I got into radio, and this is a sign your talk show host only wants to work 4 days a week. When they do open phones Friday or like some theory, some version of that, like no nothing, no topic Friday or something like that. That tells you they are just packing it in. They're starting their weekend a little bit early. That's usually how that goes. Matt, the Warrior Raider A's fan, says 9 out of 10 on the Maller monologue. The jury is still out on Sam Darnold, but we can all agree that getting away from the Jets has been a good thing for his career. As for the Texans, they're the team. They're the team cheating Astro fans deserve in the NFL. F. Altuve. That is from Matt, the Warrior Raider A's fan. Let's see. Who else we have? Ryan says Adam Gase taking credit for Sam Darnold's success this year. 00 Mexican in San Diego says A- on the Maller monologue. Sam Darnold is what we thought he was. An average at best quarterback. Darnold will show his true colors as the season goes on. I tend to believe with that, by the way, 00 Mexican. I'm right there with you. The real test to see if Carolina is a believer in Darnold is if they sign him to a long-term contract. Well, that is absolutely true. But that Sam Darnold's going to have some stinkers along the way. Like where I look at Darnold, if everything goes right, he's an average quarterback. You can win and get to a Super Bowl with an average quarterback. The Chicago Bears got to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. The LA Rams had Jared Goff and got to a Super Bowl. The Eagles with Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. They're all average. They're all average quarterbacks or below average, and they all got to a Super Bowl. And so you can get there. It's much easier, clearly, when you have a total stud, but most teams don't have that. Rob in Vegas writes in and says, I would like to thank the suits at iHeart and FSR for getting off their behinds there and fixing the issues with the app. He says, I'm sure it was fixed by the time the Dan Patrick show came on because he is a big deal. There you go. And God forbid you address the problem. Rob, listen, we have no control over that on our end. That is at a much higher pay grade than our level. And B, I promise you, Rob, the people that could fix that are not awake when we're on the radio. So you got a lot of problems with that.
Yeah,
so
they weren't up for Jonas' show either. So
No.
Yeah.
And our morning show with Jonas was off. So, yeah. So, when they wake up. They roll in, in Manhattan. They got the traffic there, coming out from Jersey or Long Island. They got to deal with the traffic coming into the city. And so you got to park. It's a whole pain in the ass. Whole pain in the butt. Lou in SoCal says Sam Darnold did not have a career renaissance, at least in the pros. He was a major star at USC. Sam had 2 coaches in college in the pros, Clay Helton and Adam Weird Gase. Crazy guys. And both suffered from the Peter principle. So Sam never had quality coaching until Matt Rule. Yeah, that's a hold off on that, Lou. Let's hold off on that. Again, so far, Sam Darnold's been the beneficiary of playing the Jets and playing the Texans, 2 of the worst teams in football. And then the Saints, Darnold, I'll give the Saints credit. The Saints are a good team. Defensively, they didn't show up that game, but still. All right, to the phones we go. Let's say hello to Blake, who is in Arkansas. What's going on, Blake?
What's going on, Ben?
Hi,
so I talk about, by the way, I sent those hats and I sent Cooper tracking numbers. So now you're going to have to actually go up to the studio to get it. Is that going to be okay with you?
Yes, I will make the pilgrimage to. Very kind of you. You're rich in hats, Blake? You're the made man when it comes to hats.
I am on the old Negro League. I've got, I don't know, roughly 10,000 of them. Yeah.
Wait. How does one end up with 10,000 Negro League hats? How does one end up with that stash of hats?
I've got the wildest stuff you've ever seen or heard of. I mean, we'll buy a mall that's been hit by a tornado, or wild Amazon returns, or whatever.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's an interesting thing. And you make money? You make a good amount of money doing this?
It should be illegal.
Wow, that's awesome.
So in the new era, they were changing the style, and it comes across somebody's desk that, hey, they're changing the style, so those are out, these are in, and
wow. Hey,
Blake,
hold on,
video
Blake.
of the shelf. They're just boxes and boxes and boxes.
Hold on, Blake. Hold on a sec here. I want to talk more. I don't want to wrap this up early, so we'll get back to you. Hold on, Blake. Don't hang up. I want to hear more about that. That's fascinating to me. Does anyone else care about that? I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
You guys got thousands of hats and other stuff.
Be sure to catch live editions of the Ben Maller Show weekdays at 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, three-time Pro Bowler LeVar Arrington, and I couldn't be more excited to announce a new podcast called Up On Game. What is Up On Game, you ask? Along with my fellow Pro Bowler, TJ Hushmanzada, and Super Bowl champion, yep, that's right, Plexico Burris. You can only name a show with that type of talent on it. Up On Game. We're going to be sharing our real-life experiences loaded with teachable moments. Listen to Up On Game with me, LeVar Arrington, TJ Hushmanzada, and Plexico Burris on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
It's in our design, the force, the will to move forward, the voice calling us to do things no one thought possible. And at Johns Hopkins Medicine, we are listening, creating blood tests that detect cancer, new treatments to reduce damage from heart attacks, new ways to help the next family who needs us. So we imagine and we care, not just for us, but for all of us. Johns Hopkins Medicine, forward for all of us.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Don't miss out on the top stories from the best insiders around the NFL. I'm your host, Rhett Lewis, and on the NFL Inside Report podcast, I'll go around the league so you can hear much more of the story. The NFL Inside Report podcast will offer thorough, in-depth analysis and storytelling with a multitude of exclusive NFL insiders getting unmatched access. NFL Inside Report will provide you with comprehensive coverage, including game recaps, the biggest news, and in-depth reports that take you beyond the headlines multiple times per week, all on the NFL Inside Report podcast. Our exclusive NFL insiders will get the opportunity to share the full, extensive story so you can stop wondering what's really going on. You'll know what's happening behind the scenes in the NFL. Listen to NFL Inside Report on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Back to the NFL and perhaps some interesting news involving the Indianapolis Colts. Now, we know Carson Wentz has injuries to both of his ankles. He's going to try and play on Sunday, but...
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah, they've been talking about Jacob Eason, right? About him being a viable backup. They talked about him in the preseason, too, when Wentz had his injury issues. But apparently, Brett Hundley, remember him? Former UCLA quarterback, played with the Packers. He took most of the reps in practice on Wednesday. Now, you would think that whoever was, they were trying to hustle up to be the emergency quarterback would be the guy taking most of the snaps, but it was Brett Hundley. Now, if he's going to actually play in the game on Sunday, they'd have to elevate him off of the practice squad to the active roster by Saturday, but we'll see. Carson Wentz, we don't know. And who's going to start if he can't go? Will it be Jacob Eason or Brett Hundley? Stay tuned to find out.
Brett Hundley. My good. Didn't he have what was the quote he had? Remember around the draft? Wasn't he the guy that had that wild quote? I'll go look that up.
I don't recall the wild quote. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. I don't recall it.
Okay. For some reason, I vaguely remember some wild quote that
it was pretty wild.
Roberto.
So wild, I forgot it. Do you remember Roberto?
No.
All right. So you think I made it up? You think
No.
All right. And let's go back. We were having a conversation with Blake in Arkansas. He's going to be one of the hat benefactors. He's sending a bunch of Negro League hats, and he says he's got 10,000 of them. He told the story. He says he buys stuff from malls that are just, hit by hurricanes and things like that, right, Blake? That's what you're saying. And you got all this stuff. You must have a big warehouse to store all this stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's just an example. Yeah, I've got a retail store where like on Friday, everything will be $5, and on Saturday, everything will be $3, and then Monday, and then it's all gone. Then you restock. There's got to be a couple of them out there where you guys are. They're popping up everywhere.
Are they really?
Online
I don't recall any of those around here, but that sounds like a great business, Blake. How did you stumble into that?
The only thing you got to worry about is people fighting to get in the door.
Wow.
It's wild. So, I mean, Amazon and these other companies, once they send it to you, if you return it, they don't restock it. It goes in a pile. And,
yeah.
you
There's
know,
a lot,
anyway.
think about how big Amazon is, how much stuff people return all the time.
I can show you a semi that I got in this morning. It's unbelievable what kind of stuff is in there.
So this is like open box, right? You sell
No,
it as
not all of it. Some of it, like if you're not doing your numbers, they'll kick you out. Some of it, again, it doesn't matter if they open it or not. If it went out, it doesn't get restocked.
Wow. So how did you stumble into this, Blake? Did you know somebody?
Well, honestly, I taught kids that were locked up in jail for 20-something years. I quit my job to do a lot of what your wife sounds like she likes to do. I had old gas and oil and Texaco and classic cars. And one of my best customers got into this. He's been running up for 2 years, and I'm only on a couple of months. But it's wild. It is wild. I'll send Cooper some videos. He can show them to you.
Yeah. I'll definitely.
What I was talking about is back on the Jets. Why do you think the kids coming out of college don't refuse? Tell that team not to draft me. I was trying to think of the last person that did it. Was it Eli?
Eli, John Elway did it. Eli did it. He didn't play on the West
Bo
Coast.
Jackson did it, but
that was because Bo was
the
upset with the Bucs owner. The last one that pops in my head is Eli.
So is that due to the fact of the new rookie salary cap structure, and they don't want to tell number 2 not to draft them because then they'll drop to 4?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm totally transparent with you, Blake. I don't like. I think you go where you're drafted and you make it work. I think you can make it work. Peyton Manning, as much as I goof on Peyton Manning, he was drafted by a miserable Indianapolis Colts team. They were horrible, and they figured it out. I mean, I think if you're truly great, you figure it out where you're drafted.
Right. And you say that, but Matt Stafford's the only one that I can think of that was just halfway sick. I mean, if that was your kid, Ben, and he's going to the Jets, you're going to let him go, or you're going to ruffle some feathers.
Well, how much money are they paying him? How much money are they paying him? I think the way the setup is in the NFL, you can become a free agent, but you're drafted. I mean, if you want to get rid of the draft and just have everyone be a free agent, you can do that.
I get it. I mean, but you know how it is. And then my last question is, why doesn't USC look at Jack Del Rio? He's been successful. Everywhere he went, he got shafted in Oakland. Car goes down, and then they just hire Gruden. When he was 12-4 when he went down.
I think the problem, Del Rio's in his late 50s now, I think. So they're going to try to get some hotshot young coach. But I wouldn't be if these other guys turned down SC. Pete Carroll was like the 4th choice, and that worked out pretty well back in the day, but I don't see Jack Del Rio. Another name that I'm sure will pop up is Jeff Fisher. That he will say, "What about me? I coached the Rams." He's hungry to get another job, Jeff Fisher. You got to think anybody that has any ties to SC from back in the day, they'll be knocking on the door saying, "What about me?" So adjust your calendar. Did you see a major change coming to the NFL schedule here? In wild card festivities, wild card weekend, it has been announced now that the NFL is going to change things around for the first time in my life, it seems. They're going to mess on wild card weekend. And it's a new format as requested by their television overlords. And here's how it's going to work. So you'll have 2 games on wild card Saturday, 3 games on wild card Sunday, and wait for it. Here we go. Monday Night Wild Card Football. Whee! What? Yeah, wild card game on Monday night. And I promise you, if I could bet everything I own on this, within the next 5 years, you will see playoff games on Thursday night, Monday night. I mean, this is just the beginning, right? They're gonna say, wait a minute, because TV would rather have. They don't like Saturday. TV does not particularly like Saturday. That's not
I actually don't like the games on Saturday either, to be honest.
It affects your schedule.
Yeah,
Roberto?
Saturday. I'm
What
busy
days
on
would
Saturdays? Sunday.
Sundays would be better for you. Yeah. No, I hear you. So they don't like TV. Would rather have it on Monday and Thursday night. Thursday night's a great night for television. So eventually they'll shift that. Now, I don't know how they'll do it. Now I had an idea. Let me run this by you. So why not just give everyone in the NFL a bye at the end of the year, and then you can play wild card games on Thursday. You could start wild card weekend on Thursday.
I like that.
What's wrong with that? Right?
that.
Everyone's the football would be better because everyone's got a little more rest before and you could build up the excitement and you could drag it out a little longer. I should be hired by the NFL.
Wow,
That's a great idea, right? Come on. Thank you. All right, here's the Who Am I game. And we'll have the NFL pick 'em time. We might have to push that back, actually. Here's the Who Am I game. There have been 47 quarterbacks in NFL history to start at least 150 games. But I have the median winning percentage of that group of 47 quarterbacks to start at least 150 games. Who am I? The answer next.
Fox Sports Radio has the best sports talk lineup in the nation. Catch all of our shows at foxsportsradio.com. And within the iHeartRadio app, search FSR to listen live.
From the first moment you tune in, you know the Ben Maller Show is not your garden variety sports talk. We welcome all the freaks of nature to the Maller Militia. Facebook's an online amusement park for all of us. You can chat with other super fans of the show. It's simple and it's free. Help support our show by liking our page. Go to facebook.com/Ben Maller Show. And now live in the Fox Sports Radio studios, it's Ben Maller.
We'll push back for timing reasons for the ratings. We will push back the NFL Pick'em for the weekend till next hour. This portion of the Ben Maller Show made possible by Discover. Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover's accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. Let's take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report limitations apply. And here's the Who Am I game. There have been 47 quarterbacks in NFL history to start at least 150 games, but I have the median winning percentage, which means I am the most average quarterback to start that many games in NFL history, if you judge it off that metric. So who am I? That is the question. What is the answer? By the way, that guy Blake that called up, he said his pick of the weekend, for what it's worth, West Virginia. He says on the money line, he loves them to take down Oklahoma this weekend. All right, who do we have here? Alexa Bliss, of course, it's Friday. Just Josh going with Alexa Bliss is the answer. Ricky says Boomer Esiason. That's actually a good guess. Burt Reynolds from The Critter. Frank Tripucka from John in SoCal. Davey's going with Dr. Frank Ryan as his selection. Rick Meyer from The Clam. Cappy Lucas, guessed by Real. J.P. Lossman from Trucker Joe on the highways and byways of the United States. Who else do you have? Cleo Lemon. Cleo Lemon was guessed by Rob in Minnesota. Jacob from Japan's going Sarah Fuller as the selection. Vinny Testaverde, tossed out by Eek in Roseville, Minnesota. Tom from SoCal and Fullerton says William Refrigerator Perry. Midnight Walker says Viking legend Wade Wilson is the way to go. Jim Plunkett from Wally in Florida. Sam Houston, tossed out by Finn Fan. Uncle Rico from my guy JD in KC, who told that great story the other day about maggots. Who else do we have? Page down. Grandmaster B from Tortilla Man Tony. Mark Vlasic, there's a good name from Steve, the Padre guy. Let's see. Page down here. Page down. The Jughead, tossed out by Milkman Mike. Stan Humphreys from Keith in NorCal. Do you have an answer, Eddie? Quickly!
Yep, it's John Freeze.
No, it's actually a Charger, though. Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is right in the middle. He's the most average quarterback of all time, winning-wise.
Every day, thousands of hackers try to steal your crypto. But Arculus uses air-gapped technology by forming a protective barrier that insulates you from hackers and secures your crypto. Order yours at getarculus.com.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for years, he's only said,
only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.